Hey guys, Bowie here, and this is Disaster or New Meta. This is my way of playing Huskar, and before we begin, you need to learn when to pick him. Huskar is great when paired with Oracle and Dazzle, but with this build and in this meta, you don't need them necessarily. It's all about understanding your lanes, because to be honest, I feel like the only real hard counter to him is AA. You almost always want to last pick Huskar, but if you can't, make sure you're against a solo offlaner that is not Monkey King. He's probably the only hero that can completely destroy you solo. Bristleback can win against you, but only if your supports fuck up, and even then, you can beat him with an early magic wand. Also, be wary of duo lanes. In this game, for instance, I was caught by surprise with the Coddle plus Underlord duo lane, while my support Night Stalker was top against a solo lifestealer. So you can see that duo lanes can be hard to deal with, and it's probably your biggest counter. With picks out of the way, let's talk about starting item build. Huskar wins his lane because his ability to harass without drawing aggro is unmatched by every other safe lane hero. Huskar is pretty slow though, so an early win lace guarantees that you're faster than most offlaners, meaning that you can always take them out of the lane and thus farm uncontested. Huskar has terrible base damage, and it can be hard to fight for less hits. Even when you're not fighting, you can miss some of them because he has low base damage and high variance damage. This explains the Fairy Fire pickup that also can help in those early fights in case the offlaner tries to contest you. Most of the time, if you picked correctly, they won't though. Following up, I like to buy at least one set of tangles and a salve, but BSJ recommended me to either get only one set of tangles or two sets of tangles. I would probably listen to him, and I myself started going for two sets of tangles nowadays. The only time I would get two branches and a circlet is if I'm against a Batrider or Bristleback, so that you have access to a magic wand right away. In lane, your job is to maintain creep equilibrium, harass the enemy offlaner enough that you get the lane only for yourself, and then you just farm until you have your armlet. If you're feeling safe to take the bottom tier 1, do it. Also, make sure to focus your large camp until you can buy a Morbid Mask in the side shop, and then you can go farm both Ancients while you wait to push another tower, or to engage a fight near you, or to go Roche while a fight that's further away from you happens. Huskar farms Ancients relatively well without the mask, but that requires you to use Inner Vitality or stay in unhealthy HP thresholds. Then, if you want to push or go Roshan, you're not going to have enough mana to do it reliably. That's when you actually stop watching this guide, because I'm going to recommend you going for either Arcane Boots or Mech, depending on how much fighting / pushing you're doing. If you're able to farm the Ancients and the lane uncontested, I usually just rush Mech, and then I finish Arcanes, but if you're fighting, you're going to be using your Q a lot, and you always want to have it. This skill, in my opinion, is his strongest one, but you're probably confused, why the hell are we even going for Mech? Because we want Greaves, and we want Greaves instead of BKB for one simple reason. This build is all about one specific timing, abusing your second Roshan that has Aegis and Cheese to push a lane. BKB is a great item. If you're alone, you can pop it against projectile stums, you can BKB TP, but what we want to achieve here is abuse a specific timing around the 25 to 35 minutes, where Huskar is very hard to deal with. Greaves is undeniably great for pushing. It solves your mana issues, so that you can push tower after tower without ever running out of mana or having to go back to base. It has one purge, and while your ult can purge a lot of things, mini stuns and silences are very hard to deal with. As you can see here. Yes, you can BKB out of silences, but during a push, you don't want to commit BKB for it. Another great thing about Greaves and Huskar is that if you're chain stunned by something like a Blink Hex, even if you survive to pop BKB, most of the time you won't have enough sustain. Your Q is great when you're hurt, but that alone sometimes is not enough to sustain you, and that's why Greaves is so good. If you're at 5% HP and pop Greaves, not only you get enough breathing room to use your Q and start abusing your lifesteal talent as well as your Morbid Mask, you have actually 15 armor when you're low on HP, so that's great. 15 armor is amazing at this stage because usually your opponents already used all their spells and they're attacking you. And well, this allows you to turn fights around or just siege uncontested because your heal will never end. After finishing Greaves, there's a lot of different paths you can take. Oh, by the way, the only time I won't rush Greaves after Morbid Mask is when I'm dealing with a Sven, Slark, Ursa, maybe OD. Against those heroes, rushing Halberd is a must, and after that, Greaves is still pretty decent. You can purge Ursa's low, the armor is still great against any of those cores, having more mana actually guarantees that you can use your spells against OD. And well, after Greaves though, Hurricane Pike can be pretty decent. At this stage you start getting kited and being able to pop Greaves. Hurricane Pike away to reset the fight and go back is nice. If you're having trouble against physical damage, Assault Cuirass is always a good option, it helps you siege as well. And I would only really recommend going BKB against stuns or spells that are not instant. Because well, you can say that Earthshaker has a pretty long stun, but I mean, if you're as a Huskar, you're always in the front lines, and it's pretty hard to actually pop BKB against Blink Echo Slam or Blink Hex. So in my opinion, it's just better to build yourself to not be bursted up, and then you can try to turn the fight later. But anyways, if you're going BKB, always build it as a third or fourth item. Do not go BKB straight away after Armlet, for instance, because you're gonna feel super underwhelming. I even built Shiva's Guard against an OD Sven lineup once, and it felt okay. Huskar in this patch is more versatile than a lot of people think, and you only really need to pick him in a good lane and avoid ancient apparitions. Since we're talking about things that are good against Huskar, it's very common that people build Blade Mail against you, but Huskar is great at kiting that. Just ignore it, because most of the time you will have enough sustain to withstand it anyways. Guys, just a quick note, I had a ton of problems coming back from TI7. My bag disappeared, my microphone was there, but I finally have a mic back and you can expect a lot of videos being pumped up every single day. I'm gonna try at least. I will also be casting some games, so make sure to follow me on Twitch. And well, you guys know Pagna, they're amazing. They even made shirts for me at TI7. There's no doubt that they played a big role in how my channel was able to grow and how I was able to even go to TI7. So if you have some time, just check their channel. They have Oracle, it's a pretty good tool that analyzes your play. They also have my videos there, some extended stuff that I make only for them. So I mean, if you're interested, just check it out. And thanks everyone for watching.